everyone. Good afternoon. So, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to the organizing committee members for giving me an opportunity to present my talk here. So, on the topic I will be lecturing is reformulating the basics of conventional Newtonian physics, quantum physics, Einstein's theory of relativity through the newly discovered topology bridging theory of quantum gravity. Friends, I have to proceed a bit faster because the time is limited. I'll try to give a simplified picture of the topological theory of quantum gravity. So you see, now the theories of physics with major incompleteness. The Newtonian physics, quantum physics, and theory of relativity, none of them are able to offer the geometry or topology of the numerous physical variables, mainly time, mass, and gravitational constant. So, dimension of gravitational constant, geometry of gravitation is not known. Time is in an abstract. We all know it is represented by t, and then mass. It is also abstract in the sense that it is represented by m. Now, the very important thing is that the mathematical relation is required between to show the relation between lm and t. If lm and t, the principal dimension of the universe, length, mass, and time, if they take values of their own desire, so independent of each other, then many absurd things would have happened, and the universe would have taken infinite number of dimensions as shown here, L to the power x, my, t to the power z, like this, where x, y, z, a, b, c, p, q are all real numbers. So universe can take infinite numbers. So universe could also converge to fully length or fully mass or fully time if the L, M, and T are not interconnected to each other. Like the ideal gas equation, PV is equal to RT, neither P pressure, neither volume can, neither the temperature can take value of their choice, because they're interrelated to each other. But in Newtonian physics and theory of relativity and quantum physics, no such relation has been put up. Now, the Max Planck, many years back, he had given the expression of he had given the expressions of the length, mass, time, charge, and temperature in terms of gravitational constant g, Planck's constant h, and velocity of light c. So these are the expressions. You can see the mathematical expression. Now, from the topological theory of quantum gravity, we have directly derived the dimensions of length, mass, time, charge, Planck temperature. We have derived directly without taking any help of these equations, or gravitational constant, Planck constant was not needed. We have directly derived. So here what we find, that r, what is r? It is the distance or entropy. If we consider a circle, if its radius, we consider the radius. If the radius is more, the circle size will be higher and the randomness will be higher. If the radius is smaller, the circle will be smaller and the randomness will be lesser. So since entropy is not the randomness, entropy is the degree of randomness. So the by radius we can express the degree of randomness. So r is entropy or distance in TTQG, topological theory of quantum gravity. Then in this way the mass is coming out to be 1 by r cube, that is inverse 3D saddle. Then time is inverse 2D saddle, and these are normal two dimensions. Now this is the thing which I wanted to show here. And then actually when this expressions for gravitational constants and Planck constant of the TTQG, we have found that dimension, we have derived the dimensions or formula of gravitational constant, Planck constant, and velocity of light in TTQG. When we put those relation in this equation, four equations, the same results are coming. That I wanted to emphasize here. Now you see the dimensionality and topology of the physical variables. Neither Newtonian physics nor the quantum physics could evaluate the dimensionality of entropy, force, energy, acceleration. We have already discussed about it. None of the theories, you see, quantum physics cannot tell us how a photon looks alike. That photon is called sometimes a wave, sometimes a particle. That is not very much acceptable. And what are the gravitons? None of the three branches of physics could tell what the gravitons are. But in topological theory of quantum gravity, you have shown that the universe is built up of these numerous gravitons. Now this in topological theory of quantum gravity, time, mass, entropy, temperature, gravitons, all these are gravitons, and we have developed the geometry of each physical variable. We have explained the physics of formation and have developed the mathematical expression. Now all the physical variables or gravitons what we are talking about have been evolved from where? It has been evolved from the singularity graviton. And what is the singularity graviton? That we are going to explain. And ultimately we'll finish this lecture with showing a universal graviton cycle, where we'll show how all the natural or cosmic phenomena of the universe are being evolved. Now you see the very important thing in science, that is rule of thumb in science, that defining a physical variable. Suppose there is a physical variable x, it needs to be defined from three ways. That is, the geometrical shape has to be given, physics of formation has to be explained, and a mathematical expression has to be given. And finally, all these three definitions has to be merged or bridged at a single point. Then only we say that a physical variable is properly defined. Now, time, mass, velocity, these things are no such unified definition are existing in the conventional physics, and TTQG first brings the inverse dimensional concept in physics. Then you see the principal philosophy of TTQG that I have already told, gravitational force of and the singularity graviton, and graviton cycle also I have talked about. Now this what are the things of the topological theory of quantum gravity? In topological theory of quantum gravity, we express everything in terms of entropy, and molecular attractive force is the origin of gravitation. Molecular attractive force are linked to intermolecular distance. Entropy is integral multiple of r. Time is an inverse dimension of a circle, that is a 2D saddle. And finally, what is gravitation? Friends, please note it, that gravitation, what is the gravitation? Gravitation is the result of overlapping of two inverse acceleration fields. That will show the more clear way. But I again repeat that gravitation is the results of overlapping of two inverse acceleration fields. Now we are showing the geometrical shapes of the different types of gravitons or physical variables. You can see, one can see entropy or distance is distance in this way. This is a straight line or a curved line. Then temperature and force represented by circle. Time is being represented by a 2D saddle, volume energy by a 3D sphere, mass by a 3D saddle or inverse 3D sphere. Then EM wave. EM wave can be represented by as force into area by two circles, and these two circles, so when it is unfolded, we get the EM wave pattern. So this is very interesting. Now, what is an atom? Atom's geometry is ultimately shown. Atom, we have developed this relation that atom is nothing but hybrid of energy, entropy, and time. So atom is energy into entropy and time. So if energy, entropy, and time all have their own geometry, so the geometries cancel out each other, and ultimately what is left is a circle and is a force. And we all know the atoms are the symbols of the forces. Now the region of uncertainty and region of certainty. You see left hand side, these spheres are going to be more and more in size. So randomness increases, the radius of the circle increases, so entropy increases. So this side, left side, are the side of the push forward gravitons of the universe, and you see these 3D saddles are squeezed and squeezed, so it is becoming more and more attractive. So this is the region of certainty. So this is the region of uncertainty or region of randomness or region of disorder, and this is the region of certainty or region of order. Now you see we have defined the geometrical dimensions of the different variable. Distance is r, then force is r square, energy is r cube, EM wave r to the power 4, acceleration r to the power 4, photoelectricity r to the power 6, nuclear fission r to the power 7, x-rays r to the power 8, and r to the power 9 is plasma state. That we have derived in the TTQG. And a very interesting thing is that you see when an entropy graviton is just meeting an order graviton, then the dimensionality of one cancels each other, and what we are left with is a vacuum spatial pi graviton. And this pi graviton, vacuum spatial pi graviton is the sorry, this vacuum spatial pi graviton is the carriers of all the push forward gravitons. all the push forward gravitons are contained in this vacuum special pi graviton, and all the pullback gravitons or the ordered gravitons are contained in the anti-pi graviton. Anti-pi graviton, what is we are going to show now. Here we show the schematic geometrical presentation of time and temperature. Friends, it is very interesting. You see, this is the time is a pullback phenomena, and the temperature or force is a push forward phenomena. Now if we consider two variables x and y, and if the product of x and y is unity, then x and y are called multiplicative inverse to each other. So here temperature and time are multiplicative inverse to each other. It is very clearly shown. So when t and temperature and time is multiplied, it gives the results of unity. So what is coming out ultimately, the thing is that time is a pullback phenomena holding the universe, temperature is the multiplicative inverse of time, and mass is the hybrid. What is mass actually? We do not know. No definition of mass has been given in that way till date, but TTQ is already given, and these research articles have been published. So mass is a hybrid of time and order graviton. I repeat that mass is the hybrid of time and order graviton, and ultimately mv is equal to 3. That's mass into volume is conserved, and here v is not the velocity. That we are going to show why it is not velocity, why volume, and velocity is a volume concept. Now come to the next slide, please. Here we are showing what is very interesting. This red unit circle represents the unit of temperature or force, and this has this the circle has a mathematical equation. We all know, when from the inverse it we get this saddles. We get this saddle. The geometrical shape is of saddle. These four regions are from this region, this region, this region, and this region. They attract each other, and ultimately a saddle is formed. So this saddle PQRS, as you can see, this has also an area of unity. So this is the unity and this is the unity. So time in temperature is equal to 1. This is the concept of TTQG. Now comes the question of the mass and volume. Mass and volume we are showing in 2 dimension here, since in 3-dimension representation it becomes very cumbrous, so we avoid it. So we are showing it in 2 dimension, and the same concept can be extended to 3 dimensions. So the green thing, it represents a unit of mass, and the central circle is representing a unit of volume. When this mass and volume interact with each other, you can see a square is formed which has the area, which is vacuum square, which has the area of 2, and this ultimately splits into 2 number of unit force gravitons. So when we extend this concept to 3 dimension, what we will get, mv is equal to 3. That momentum is conserved, but here momentum is not mass into volume, it is mass into it is not mass into velocity, it is mass into volume. Now the very interesting concept of pi graviton, anti-pi graviton. You see, there the 4 circles, they are representing the pi gravitons. They interact with each other, and they see here this yellow, blue, green, red, and blue position makes this saddle time graviton. So you see, from force graviton, you can tell it as a force graviton also, the force graviton to pi graviton. And here what is happening, you see, from time graviton to force graviton, you see how the circle is being formed. So from time graviton to force graviton is forming. So here we can say from pi graviton to anti-pi graviton, and here we can anti-pi graviton to pi graviton. So these are the same things. As I told, the carriers of this are pi graviton and anti-pi graviton. These are the anti-pi graviton. So this is a very interesting concept, and whatever the thing is that all the gravitons, whatever we say, are interconnected to each other. You see, this pi graviton, anti-pi graviton are existing in equilibrium with each other. So it can be shown that any graviton can be represented in the form of other gravitons. That is the beauty of TTQG. The 4 different important equation we have derived, that momentum is conserved, mv is equal to 3, then tt is equal to 1. As I have told, mass into energy is equal to 9, and very importantly, that energy density of space is constant, that is 3. And on this thing, energy density of space is constant, many things are depending, that will show. Now I am going to explain the inconsistencies, or the what should I say, limitations of the Newtonian physics. You see, Newton's law of motion are based on macroscopic observation of the object. Newton is telling a planet is moving, a vehicle is moving, a man is moving, an apple is falling from the tree. Yes, This is true. It is a macroscopic observation, but ultimately the impact, whenever anything moves, there is an impact on the environment. So ultimately it is linked to the time space. But in Newtonian physics, the time space matter has been totally ignored. Now comes the question of acceleration. Acceleration is a very ambiguous physical variable, because you see, what is acceleration? We all know rate of change of velocity with time, but velocity itself is dependent on time. So there is a circularity of definition. So from time to time over the past 2 decades, or past 2 centuries and many decades, people are raising question about this acceleration, about the ambiguity. It is not fully transparent. So here also you say yes, as I the arguments I have placed, so you can understand that acceleration is not very transparent. So what is acceleration then? Acceleration is ultimately, it is a space expansion. Yes, it is a space expansion. We are going to show. You see, now before that, I am very much interested to give you the actual presentation of a concept of time and temperature and then gravitation. You see, whether you can see the right side person, I don't know, but this, suppose the two persons are walking the same distance to drop letter in this post office box. There is one AB here that is hidden, but the same distance these two persons are covering. Now if this person, say left hand person, is being pulled back by some invisible force towards the center, that the time taken for this person will be considered to be more than the time taken by the other person, right hand side person. So this is the concept of time. It is holding back the universe. Time is holding back the universe. We can't see, can't feel also, but it is holding back the universe. So time constant, the holding back is more, then the time frame will be larger. Even the holding back is lesser, then the time frame will be smaller. No, now we have defined we have given the expression of the time. This is 3 by 4 by square. It is not that we are just telling in this way. I'm going to tell you the thermodynamic definitions, but in various ways we have defined time, and we have shown in our research article. So just try to think about in the thermodynamic sense, what is time, how energy is pulling back entropy. That is actually time, because the radius of the circle or a sphere I've told. So how the radius is being made smaller by the attractive force. So this is in terms of energy, because energy have two parts. One is attractive part and one is the repulsive part or the push forward part. So how energy, this attractive part, is pulling back entropy. The radius of the circle is getting squeezed. So that is actually the phenomenon of, that is time. And what is temperature then, or temperature or force? How energy, then the repulsive part plays the role of energy. So how energy is pushing forward entropy, that is the temperature. So time and temperature is multiplicative to inverse to each other. And very interestingly, velocity is equal to distance by time. When we put velocity is equal to r, distance, and we get ultimately 4 by 3 pi r cube, that is volume. So that's the reason I was telling that volume is ultimately velocity is ultimately converging to volume. Now the very important thing about the gravitation, you see, this is one inverse acceleration of one body, or the space inversion. So two bodies are interacting to each other in the way Newton had showed. So this one is imposing some inverse acceleration or space inversion on the other, and this one is on the other hand is imposing the same thing on the other. So these are the geometries of two inverse acceleration field or space inversion. So these two overlap. These are very squeezing type, attractive type. So when they overlap, then again another more and more attractive thing is formed, and this is, you see, dimensionality. You have shown inverse acceleration, dimensionality is 10. So this is actually the singularity graviton, and all the 10 dimensions of the universe are embedded or hidden in the integrated form in the singularity graviton. I mean this one, and when it decays one after another, the dimensions comes out. Now the thing is very important is that this vehicle is speeding at v, so it is encroaching some volume of the environment. When you speed up, when this speed is increases, encroaching more volume. So for the speeding up of the vehicle, of speeding up of the anything, one has to overcome the attractive force acting on it, on each one of us, Whether we can feel or not feel, that is a different question. But on each one of us, each one of the objects of the universe, there is some attractive forces. The car has to overcome the attractive forces, and it is encroaching some volume. The overall thing is that time is going to be, velocity is going to be volume, and this is now shown in a much better way. You see, this is a gas cylinder with piston. Now when the initial position of the piston is here, now we give some heat and speed up the molecules, so the piston moves and takes the new position. So ultimately the result of higher speed of the molecules insisting the space to expand. So that's the reason we are telling that the acceleration or speeding up the molecules is the, if you think in the molecular level, or just leave molecular, just think about it, it insists some space expansion. So but that's the reason we are telling that acceleration is nothing but space expansion. You see, it is shown first time this geometrical presentation done for mass is equal to force is equal to mass into acceleration, the famous equation of Newton. That is actually acceleration. We do not believe the acceleration is true. So force is equal to mass into space expansion. And you see the geometry. This is the space expansion geometry. This is a sphere which is surrounded by a circle. The sphere has a r cube, a 3 dimension, and this is 2 dimension. Altogether the dimensionality is 5, and this is the mass. It has the inverse 3 dimensional. So these spheres is 3 dimensional, it swallows or eats up this dimensionality. So what is left is a circle, and it is here. So force is how the force is mass into acceleration. It is we can see now very clearly. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. For many years we know, but we have never seen such diagrammatical or geometrical representation. So mass into space expansion. Now forget about acceleration. We should say force is equal to mass into space expansion. From here we can say the space expansion is force by mass. So when mass force overcomes mass, that then it is space expansion. Here force has overcome the mass. But from this relation, space inversion is equal to mass by force. So when mass overcomes force, that is space inversion. So these are the very interesting concept, building block of the universe. As I've already told, I just skip this slide. Next slide I'm passing on. Also, this is not so important right now. So now I pass on to this thing. As I told, I have to derive some relationship between L, M, and T. So mass is, you see in TTQG, mass is this, expression time is this. So from there, from very simple algebraic manipulation, we get this formula, m to the power minus 2 is equal to 4 pi L. So what is that? Force square is equal to 4 pi into entropy into volume. So this is the first mathematical relation established between MT and L. Otherwise, many things would have happened and no one had talked about this earlier, that such equation is needed. Anyway, so now you see what is happening. So we are coming to the much interesting concept, is that in Newton's force is equal to mass into acceleration. If we just plot force into acceleration, and since mass is constant, so we get a straight line passing through the origin. So what does it mean? Force is going on increases. So there is no bound on the force. And as the force increases, acceleration increases. So acceleration increases means velocity increases. So force, velocity, acceleration, this is unbound. They can take any value up to their own desire, can go to infinity. But this is not happening. There is everything there, boundness. So how this boundness is coming? So that is being explained by this. Is stuck somewhere. Hello. So you see, this is the geometrical mean concept. Geometrical mean concept of geometrical mean concept. Geometrical mean concept of geometrical mean concept of the time and force. It is a force. Actually, you see, we are showing force is equal to, it is space expansion. For what is force? It is the geometric mean of space expansion on degree of order, and this we show here. And what is time? These are coming from this equation, t mt to the power minus 2 is equal to 4 pi L. So time is the geometrical mean of space inversion and entropy, and force is the geometric mean of space expansion and degree of order. So this is the space expansion and this is the degree of order. So what is happening? What is the physical significance? Because space expansion is trying to be large and large, but this degree of order, you can see the geometry of degree of order is squeezing type, so it is not allowing that. Also at the same time, this degree of order becoming trying to very squeeze, but space expansion is not allowing that. So there is a tug of war between the two, and as a result, equilibrium is obtained in the form of geometric mean of the two. Yeah, we know for a variable x, for three variables x, y, and z, if z is equal to xy to the power half, then z is called the geometric mean of xy. So force is equal to space expansion and degree of orders, geometric mean, and time. Time actually space inversion. Space inverse is trying to squeeze the entropy, but entropy is pushing the space inversion forward. As a result, time is a geometric mean of space inversion and this thing. Now you see from our equation mt to the power minus 2 is equal to 4 pi L, we derive the force is equal to mass into acceleration in 2 or 3 steps. Very easy. Now Newton, what he had told? He had told that force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum, and he derived the equation from there. But our objection is there. He is telling that momentum is conserved quantity. So where the question of rate of change of momentum is coming? So the way the TQG has derived this force is equal to mass into space expansion, that is the right derivation. Now we pass on to the quantum physics things. Photon is both a particle and wave. It is not acceptable. How does a photon look like? No one can answer. And blackbody radiation curves was explained by Max Planck, some complex mathematical equation which is difficult to understand. And physical significance of Planck constant. We do not know the physical significance of Planck constant, but TTQG in 2 lines we have derived that Planck constant is nothing but entropy. You see from this mathematical equation it is proved. More interestingly, EM wave, you see this concept of photon needs to be switched over to the concept of EM wave gravitons, because EM wave is equal to energy into entropy, so pi r cube into pi r, so pi r square whole square. This means two circles coexisting. Units 1, 2, 3, 4, the regions are shown. So when you just unfold, we get the EM wave pattern. So this is the EM wave graviton. So we should switch over to this concept. Now this is Stefan Boltzmann law and Planck's blackbody radiation theory, the mathematical expression. So when we put the expression of TTQG here in this equation, what we get? You get that energy density of space is constant. So this Planck's blackbody radiation and Stefan Boltzmann law are just standing on the energy density of space is constant, that they did not consider, and for the reason it was difficult to explain the blackbody radiation curves. Now you see this is a very interesting thing. It is the showing many things at a time. The top portion is not viewable, so it is showing the EM wave. This is the EM wave upper part, and this is the mass. So EM wave mass duality of the universe. Also it is showing the black body radiation things. This is the black body, and this is the white color. So white and black makes the universe gray. Also at the same time you see how the colors in this mass is black body is latent, and when you heat, these colors come out, and the 7 colors. Now in the first time we have shown in TTQG we have derived why there are 7 colors in the Newton's color wheel. Earlier it was we are just taking it for granted that yes there are 7 colors, but why 7 colors? Why not 10 colors or lesser? We have derived that how the 7 colors is coming, and also at the time we have shown the what is EM wave and mass duality, what it is showing by this, and color we have shown that is a 5-dimensional thing, and explained all these things. Now you see now we are showing the black body radiation curve. This portion cannot be seen the typical black body radiation curve. It is also this curve is drawn up from this figure. It is very easy. You see from red to orange to yellow to green, the radius is increasing. It is peaking at the green, and then again it is reducing and reducing, and it is coming to the minimum. So the high energy field is lower in aperture, but its spread is more. Again also here the same thing is coming. The energy density of space is constant. Now spectral power distribution, what is power by area into 1 by wavelength? And when we put the TQG expressions, we get this SPD as R square. That is the areas of this color circle or the radius of the color circle. So you see from red to orange to green, it goes green at peaks and then it comes down. Now Max Planck had the problem to explain this portion of the curve, how at a wavelength the energy is becoming lower. So this reason is energy density of space is constant. That has been clearly indicated. Now this is the theory of relativity of Einstein's special theory of relativity. And Einstein's special theory of relativity, that is E by m, E is equal to mc square. Now E by m, if we plot E against m, energy against m, velocity is constant, light velocity is constant, they get a straight line passing through the origin. So at the origin, both an energy and mass are zero, and at the upper side, both energy and mass are going infinity. It is not possible. It is not acceptable. Also, this equation is an irreversible equation, and if this equation would be true, then in one fine morning we would find that entire universe has converged to mass or to that energy. Now E is equal to mc square is split in this way, mc into c. Now mc is mass into velocity, and c we ultimately get the same thing, that energy density of space is constant. So E is equal to mc square is not the proper representation of the energy matter relationship of the universe. Whatever it is done in the TTQG, me is equal to 9, that stands right. Now the GTR, general theory of relativity, GTR dimension is R and TQG dimension is 1 by R. This is justified. And then this comes this in GTR, that the time space. You see, time space is 4D, but we have shown here the 5D expanded space in equilibrium with the 5D space inversion form. Then gravitation, warp of the massive objects, and it is the overlapping of the inverse acceleration fields. We have told cosmological constant, what is the flow of energy from matter to space in the form of EM wave, and that is the dark energy of the universe. So all these concepts of GTR is changed. Now we are coming to the Newton's laws. We are giving another logic or philosophy of the TTQG against first law of motion. The universe on its own, or multi-building block integrated, continually passing to differential state arising out of the thirst of dark energy and pushing up to more and more flat geometries in the form of vanishingly small curvature entropy gravitons, while the energy density of space remains constant. And second law of motion, momentum is the hybrid of mass and volume, not the mass and velocity. And from the space expansion leads to the phenomenon of white color of the universe, photoelectric emission, nuclear fission, evolving gamma rays, plasma state, anti-gravity. And space inversion leads to black color of the object, permeability, nuclear fusion. You see, cold nuclear fusion is a very much possible thing in the universe that we have shown. And then gravitational lensing and formation of black hole. Now we come to the question of third law. Newton had put in this way, to every action there is equal and opposite reaction. But by action, what he had meant is not very clear. Is it force or energy or electromagnetic wave? Nothing has been mentioned. Anyway, so what the logic we are putting to every universe is made of numerous different types of push forward and pull back gravitons. To every push forward graviton, there does exist an opposite and inverse dimensional pull back graviton, and those are conjugate pairs. However, these said gravitons, though opposite to each other, but what he told, the to every action there is equal and opposite. So equal we can't say, because the gravitons, this is the interaction between the gravitons, the push forward, pull back, action, reaction, all the game of gravitons. So in that game of the gravitons, these 4 different equations are playing part. So we can't say that the equal and opposite. We can say that it is opposite, that too in the inverse dimensional sense, but it cannot be equal. And then net dimensionality of the universe is 0, since the dimensionality of the set conjugate pair gravitons cancel out each other. Now these are the conjugate graviton pairs, as we are seeing. This is distance collapsing and entropy, time graviton and force, inverse magnetic field to EM wave. In this way you are showing black hole to plasma state. These are just conjugate graviton, conjugate pair graviton. Now we come to the very interesting thing. As I told that I'll finish with a graviton cycle. What is that? From here, from the origin, one singularity graviton with dimensionality 10 starts its play game. So it releases an entropy, and we found a equilibrium between entropy and black hole. Then it releases another entropy. Then the equilibrium shifts to gravitational collapse and force. Then it comes to nuclear fusion and energy. You see, nuclear fusion, we all know that liberating energy, so we can get this equilibrium. And nuclear fusion is, cold fusion is very much possible and is happening in the universe very much. Then comes the, you see, mass and EM wave, the equilibrium with each other. So what is told in classical physics, Newtonian physics, even quantum physics, that EM wave and mass duality. It is not the duality. This is the equilibrium between mass and EM wave. Then space inversion, space expansion is in equilibrium. Then second degree energy, second degree time is in equilibrium. The nuclear fission, first degree mass. So you all know that in nuclear fission, the higher degree masses are converted to lower degree masses. So nuclear fission to first degree mass, then X-ray to time, then plasma state and order is the equilibrium. The again comes back to entropy and black hole, and another super entropic graviton, singularity graviton takes its place, and the cycle is repeated, and the cycle is getting repeated and repeated forever, and we encounter all the cosmic or natural phenomena of the universe. So I am concluding now. What are the conclusions? You can please see with some patience. Reformulation done of the conventional Newtonian physics, quantum physics, and theories of relativity by TTQG. The universal gravitational cycle explains the cosmic phenomena of the universe. Once the time and mass are being defined properly in TTQG, the fence of abstraction on physics is being removed, and physics appears before us in altogether newer ways. The basic textbooks of physics needs to be rewritten, incorporating the altogether new concepts of TTQG. The world science would encounter a major turnaround after this discovery. So here is the acknowledgement part, as you can see. And finally, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinmoy.